few key pieces on the defense. But tell me about that offseason grade.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we got Mike Evans back, we got Baker back, we got Levante David back, we got Antoine Winfield Jr. back, we got Tristan Wirfs back. And I mean, right there alone, we got Chase McLaughlin back, our kicker. So I mean, there alone, those five pieces that we got back are huge and an integral part of our season. Really, the Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs are two of the biggest. They're going to be two of the highest paid players in the league, and
Right.
I think rightfully so. Being a Buccaneers fan my entire life, it wasn't always pretty. But in 2020, Mr. Tom Brady came down to Tampa, and the first two picks in that year's draft class were Tristan Wirfs in round one and Antoine Winfield Jr. in round two. So since they've been there, they've either won the Super Bowl or won the division. So you want to talk about two cultural pieces for the Tampa Bay Bucks? Those are two guys that we absolutely had to bring back. They were paid because they are the best at their position in the league, top three if you want to argue. We can save that for another day. But those are two guys that know what it's like to win in Tampa Bay and are going to springboard this program, this team forward, and are a huge part of that winning mindset that was established in Tampa just a few years ago. So, you can look at the Mike Evans and the Levante Davids. They were great, great players for Tampa these last 10, 15 plus years, but they never had that winning identity until just recently. So to have two young guys to come into the league and just know what it's like to win right away for this team is huge. So I'm ecstatic that they franchise tagged Winfield to start, but then ended up getting a deal done. And then just this past week, Wirfs signed the 5-year deal. So you got Winfield for 4, Wirfs for another 5, Baker for 3, Mike for 2. I mean, the only way is up here for sure. So I love the off-season grades or off-season moves rather to get our core back. The one loss we did trade away cornerback Carlton Davis to the Detroit Lions pre-draft and got a third-round pick back for him, which we'll dive into the draft here shortly. But as far as taking care of your guys and getting the right guys back, I think that was a huge part. Sometimes winning the division 3 years in a row, if it ain't broke, don't break it. So I think those getting those two guys back is huge. And then obviously enough can't be said about what Mike Evans and Levante mean to the culture and the organization itself.
And so with that being said, what's your grade? Or
I
did you
mean,
say
for
it
that,
already?
well, for the off season for bringing back, I mean, do you want me to talk about that and the draft or just the who we brought back?
Hey, if you can go into the draft as well, you want to. I mean, we can do
All
it on
right,
the
all
conference,
right,
but before you dive into the draft, because I know you
okay.
got a lot to say about your draft, I just want to
Mm-hmm,
ask 2 questions.
mm-hmm.
Mike Evans,
Yep.
do you feel he's underrated?
I do. I think he's been underrated his whole career. Obviously, there's some bias coming in being a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan and watching him every Sunday for the last 11 seasons. But, different coordinators, different quarterbacks. He did have a, 5-year window there with Jameis where it was a little bit solidified, but he was also throwing 30 interceptions a season. So,
It's a 30 for 30.
is it, exactly. So, he's a guy who's had to get it done with, McCown, Glennon. I'm forgetting a bunch of names right now, but he's had 6, 7 different quarterbacks thrown to him throughout his career, and he's been the only constant, um, in that offense for the last 11 seasons. So I don't think he'll ever, he's never going to be the flashiest guy, um,
Mm-hmm.
but he's reliable, ultimate professional, physical, red zone target, reliable. Early on in his career, he had some drop issues, and I think it lingers every once in a while. But you'll take all of his highlights over the drops that he's had throughout his career any day. I mean, this is a guy who back 11 years ago we thought Johnny Manziel was the reason Texas A&M was winning all these football games, and not to take away from Johnny Manziel, but Johnny
He
Manziel had
definitely,
to throw. But
he
Johnny
definitely.
Manziel had to Johnny had to throw it to somebody, and that somebody was Mike Evans. So I think just 1,000 yards every year for the last 11, on pace to break a lot of records and be up there and yeah, and Mr. Consistent. So yeah, I think he's severely underrated. There's always going to be, your Justin Jeffersons, your Jamar Chases, your CD Lambs. Um, that top five conversation is probably a little hard with the current, athletic ability of some of these guys playing in the league. But body of work is, Hall of Fame. And I think him getting that Super Bowl ring solidified it.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. Now, I know you went into a lot of your off-season moves as far as free agencies and re-signings. So just tell me a little bit about, you can go into how you feel about that draft. And then after that, you can give me your totality, your grade
Yeah.
on the off-season.
Yeah, sounds good. So another key one we brought back real quick just to mention on is Jordan Whitehead at safety position. He was on the Tampa Bay Super Bowl roster and went and played for the Jets. We lost him to the Jets in free agency, but now back in Tampa. So good to get him back. But the draft, man, Tomo. I cannot say enough good things about this draft, man. Maybe I'm biased, but I think Jason Light has
I'm
been
gonna tell you.
cooking.
I'm gonna tell you like
Go
this.
ahead.
This is your moment to be biased. Like, this is the
Yeah,
off
hey,
season.
look,
Nothing's happened yet. Like, you can say
yeah,
they're gonna
this
win the
is
Super Bowl. I mean, it's
yeah,
gonna get
hey,
clipped up for the chats, but other
exactly,
than that,
exactly, exactly. I ain't putting out any. I ain't putting out any daggers like that yet.
all
But
right.
it starts in the first round. With Graham Barton, center at Duke, not the sexiest pick, but we needed it. And I think with the injuries that we've had over the years with Ryan Jensen, and then him officially retiring from football rather, that was an obvious need. We were kind of plug and playing at the position all year last year with him out. So he's a center out of Duke late in the first round. He's going to come in and start right away. Really, I think we had five guys in our first four rounds that are all going to be starters right away or get significant playing time. So Graham Barton's going to come in and start right away. Second round pick was Chris Braswell out of Alabama, outside linebacker. So I don't necessarily know that he'll start right away, but with the way we rotate our linebackers and edge rushers and sub guys in and out of nickel formations, he's going to be on the field playing in a integral rotation spot no matter what. Third round pick, safety out of Georgia, Tyke Smith. He's already making headway in camp as a starting nickel for us. So you have two guys who played defense in the SEC, one at Bama and Braswell, and one in Georgia in Smith. So two guys who played elite level football in college, turned some heads playing down there, and I think they're going to come in and be an immediate impact for us right away. We had two picks in the third round because of that Carlton Davis trade. So with the second pick in the third round, we took Jalen McMillan, wide receiver from Washington. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to come in and complement Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Trey Palmer, and Sterling Shepard, who we got this offseason right away. So he's going to be a wide receiver 3 for us. I believe he'll play over Shepard. I think we brought Shepard in to be more of a familiarity with Baker because they played together in college. But
he seems like a bridge player too.
Yeah.
For that
so
spot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. So but McMillan, he's going to come in right away and play a lot of downs for us on offense. And then our fourth round pick is Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon, and he's elusive Pac-12 first team, great receiving back, great running back. He is going to take some of that stress off of Rashad White, and Rashad had averaged 3.6 yards a carry last year, and the Buccaneers were dead last in rushing offense. So we needed to get him some help.
If y'all was last, then I mean the Cowboys had to have been right before y'all because our offense, our rushing offense is terrible too. But go ahead.
Yeah, the Buccaneers rushing offense has been 32nd in the last two seasons. So we need a lot of help at the running back position, and that kind of starts with getting Rashad White some help. We do have a new offensive coordinator in town, in Liam Cohen. We can dive into that a little here soon. But the draft was amazing. Like I said, not often that you're going to get five guys who are going to come in and make an immediate impact for your team on both sides of the ball. And with that said, I think that draft grade has to be an A. And you kind of pile that up with bringing back the guys that we talked about already, like your Winfield Juniors, your Wirfs, Mike Evans, and Levante. I couldn't be happier about this offseason.
See, going off of that, and I like the in-depth that you gave me about the draft because I'm not too familiar about some of the players with the draft. I know you done CTC and the college background. Shout out to Carl, man, and you for doing a few of the episodes. So again, you gave me a little highlight there because I was going to ask how you going to feel about Devin White leaving, but it sounds like you got your replacement right there. So it seemed like every position that you all were like, all right, someone left, we're just gonna plug that hole with a young rookie who can possibly move us forward. With all that being said, I'm also on the aspect of retaining guys, because
Mhm.
over here in Dallas we go all in. So bringing your guys back and actually re-signing someone, and then having that Baker moment where Baker, I think he said the Bucks believed in him, so this is why he wanted to stay. I give you all a B plus in totality of what you all did. And going back to last year's episode when you were on here, you were saying that you all could go like around about 9-8 and probably win the division, but you thought it was the Saints. And for you all to win the division the way you did, I mean, you kind of spoke some things into fruition. And with that being said, we gotta go to the next